On May 2nd, 2026, at 3 in the morning, an entire airline switched itself off. 50,000 people had flown it that final day. This airline once sold a real ticket for $16.11, and $14.24 of that was government taxes. The airline kept less than $2. There was a time a flight cost less than the taxi to the airport. That time just ended, on purpose. Tonight we find out who killed the $29 flight. Court is in session.
Meet the victim. Bright yellow jets, seats that didn't recline, a boarding pass cheaper than lunch. For 34 years, Spirit Airlines dragged flying down to a price broke families could afford. 2024 was its biggest year ever, 44 million passengers. 18 months later, it was a corpse. Healthy airlines don't die that fast. And here's the fact that breaks everyone's first theory. In 2019, the budget airlines were the industry's best businesses. Allegiant ran a 20% operating margin, the most profitable airline in America. Spirit beat United and crushed American. So the mystery isn't that it died. It's what could kill the healthiest business in the sky.
Picture a coffee shop selling espresso for $1, what the beans cost. The coffee is bait. The money is the $4 croissant and the $2 lid. Now Spirit's own 2019 numbers: average fare $54.63, average fees $56.28. The fees were bigger than the ticket. The flight was the coffee. You were there to buy pastries.
The machine behind the bait was brutal. 182 seats where Delta fits about 160 at 28 inches of legroom. 12.3 flying hours a day. Result: Spirit moved a seat 1 mile for about 8 cents. The majors needed 14. A 45% cost moat, and every weapon you're about to see was aimed straight at it. And for a while, glorious. One traveler paid $19.38 all in, Fort Lauderdale to Orlando. Mock the yellow jets all you want. They put flying within reach of people the majors had priced out. Then, in 30 months, 4 killers walked into the room. 1. The payroll bomb. America ran out of pilots, and pilots ran the table. In January 2023, Spirit's pilots won a 34% average raise, first officers up 43, a $463 million bill. A legacy can bury that inside a $300 fare. Spirit had to bury it inside $29. Weapon 2 came from inside the engines. Pratt Whitney admitted contaminated metal in the turbofans on Spirit's newest jets. At the peak, over 600 of these planes sat grounded worldwide, at Spirit around 40. Compensation checks arrived, 150 million worth. But a check doesn't fly 12 hours a day. The utilization pillar cracked. Weapon 3 was the coldest. Delta built a stripped-down fare called Basic Economy, deployed first only where it fought Spirit head-to-head. By 2017, American and United had it too. Same headline price on the search screen, but on a bigger jet with a real network. The majors didn't out-cheap Spirit. They photocopied the bait. Weapon 4 was the quietest. The customers changed. After the pandemic, Americans decided comfort was worth paying for. By late 2025, for the first time ever, Delta's premium cabins outturned its main cabin, and Delta banked about $5 billion in profit, up 45%. The money moved to the front of the plane, a cabin Spirit didn't have. And yes, the victim helped. Budget carriers grew seats 33% since 2019, while the legacies grew under 5, flooding the low-fare sky into a discount bloodbath. 5 wounds. Survivable if someone rescued the patient. A rescue was on the table. Signed, funded, $3.8 billion. And the killer who stopped it was wearing a robe. 2022. 2 airlines fought to buy the dying patient. Frontier offered about $2.7 billion in stock. JetBlue won with $3.8 billion in cash. It didn't even want the cheap fare model, just the jets and the pilots. For 17,000 workers, it was a lifeboat. It only had to survive one courtroom. It didn't. The Justice Department sued, arguing the deal would raise prices for the travelers who depend on cheap fares. On January 16, 2024, Judge William Young killed the merger, his words. To those dedicated customers of Spirit, this one's for you. Spirit's stock fell 47% in a day. The law protecting low fares had just sunk the lifeboat of America's lowest fare airline. Then the spiral. November 2024, Chapter 11. Bondholders swapped nearly $800 million of debt for equity and Spirit emerged in March, same fleet, same broken math. Frontier came back with a rescue. Spirit called it woefully insufficient. By August it filed again, less than 6 months out. Wall Street's nickname for that, Chapter 22. The second bankruptcy was an amputation. Leases torn up on 87 jets, a fleet in the low 200s cut to about 100. 1,800 flight attendants furloughed, plus 270 pilots. 11 cities lost every Spirit flight. And then, with the patient this week, the world lit a match under the price of fuel. War in the Middle East doubled jet fuel. Spirit burned $100 million on fuel in 8 weeks. Washington floated a $500 million loan for up to 90% of the company, and the bondholders said no. At 12:09 a.m. on May 2nd, the last flight from Detroit touched down in Dallas, the most tracked flight on Earth that night. By 3 a.m., every yellow jet was dark. 17,000 jobs.
5 wounds, 1 blocked rescue. The government did it. But I've sat across deal tables for 17 years, and I'll tell you, when a verdict feels this easy, you're being played. Because the defense is about to stand up with one exhibit. And it breaks this entire case open.
Here is the defense's exhibit, and it's devastating. Adjusted for inflation, the average American fare is near an all-time low, down 13% from 2019, down 36% from 1995. Over the last decade, airfares rose 4.5% while everything else rose 38%. So the defense asks the jury, if cheap flights were murdered, why are fares this low? Both sides are right. The cheap flight is alive, but it changed owners. Basic economy is the cheap flight now, run by the majors as a weapon, priced exactly as low as it needs to be and not a cent lower. The giant chain's $1 coffee, a promotion. What died was the only company whose existence depended on cheapness, the species that kept everyone honest. Which brings us to the name everyone now Googles next to the word bankruptcy. JetBlue. Last profit 2019. 6 straight loss years, $9 billion in debt, all 3 rating agencies deep in junk. On July 6th, an analyst wrote that the prudent course may be Chapter 11 searches exploded 550%. To be fair, that's a balance sheet argument, not plain stopping. But Spirit also had a plan. The question is never the plan, it's the model underneath. Now watch the survivors. Frontier is bolting first-class recliners into its jets this spring and grabbed 3 million of Spirit's abandoned seats. Allegiant and Sun Country, the only consistently profitable budget airlines, merged in May. Spirit spent its final year renaming cabins Spirit First. The home of the bare fare died wearing a suit. Every survivor survived the same way, by becoming less cheap. One last exhibit, the bill, and you're paying it. On the 90 routes Spirit abandoned, fares are up 14%, double the rise where it kept flying. Research shows the majors cut fares about 20% when a budget carrier enters a route. That discount ran in reverse the night the yellow jets went dark. 4 airlines now hold 3/4 of America's seats. Time to...
The $29 flight was not murdered. It starved. It was a loss leader, bait that only worked while labor was cheap, jets flew 12 hours a day, and nobody copied it. Every one of those conditions died between 2022 and 2025. The pilots didn't kill it, the engines didn't kill it, Delta didn't kill it. They starved it. And the court that blocked the last lifeboat in the name of protecting cheap flights, not guilty of murder, guilty of denying the victim its exit. Verdict, death by starvation, with the rescue party holding the door shut.
I think the merger block was defensible on the law at the time, but knowing the end state, it was a bad consumer outcome. Preserving a theoretical Spirit meant less than letting its capacity, crews, and price disciplines survive inside JetBlue. Antitrust protected the $29 fare as if it were a stable product, when it was really a fragile financing trick. The next model to starve is instant grocery and food delivery. Cheap delivery fees depend on subsidized labor, investor patience, and customers ignoring the real cost of convenience.
Blocking the merger was a fatal misread of the market. The court protected an idealized low-fare competitor that was already insolvent, leading to the exact consolidation and higher fares it sought to prevent. We are watching this same script play out with subscription streaming services, where the original promise of cheap, ad-free content is now starving, forcing a frantic pivot to ads and bundled tiers just to stay viable.
I keep wanting to blame the judge, and I think that instinct is wrong. The $29 fare was never really a product. It was a marketing expense that passengers happened to board, and marketing expenses die when they stop converting. The lesson that unsettles me: antitrust protected a price when what needed protecting was a competitor. We saved the fare on the screen and lost the company that forced everyone to match it. That's a settlement, not a victory.
The panel makes fair points, and where they defend the blocking of the merger, I'll say it plainly. I rule against them. Protecting a price by killing its seller is not protection. Now here's the lesson you can steal for your own business. If all your profit lives in the add-ons, then your core product is a subsidy. And the moment a bigger player can copy that subsidy, they own you. Charge for the thing you're actually best at. Spirit never did. Think my verdict's wrong? Tell me where in the comments. Next on the docket, the analysts note they put a 50-year-old airline on suicide watch. Court adjourned.